Yo, good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Shirley Cedric, as you know, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And it is getting to be that time of year, holiday season. Kids start coming home or they're at their future in laws. So, Judy and I are really excited about the holidays. And, my son Ashton's actually frustrated because yes, I'm that dad that loves Christmas so much that I've already started putting up the Christmas lights. But he doesn't realize that part of the reason why I do it is because I don't want to do it when it's freezing outside in Idaho. So I'm trying to do it when it's a little bit warmer. So anyway, I'm super excited. It's been a minute since I actually recorded one of these episodes. I've been doing them live on Facebook and then posting them. But I have a good friend, Tracy Fisher, with me today. He's works with the group that I work with, kind of remotely in support of. He does more of the work. I'm just kind of in the back as a sounding board to Sean Hart. So he's with the group called Involved Dad. So, Trace, welcome to the show, and I'm super excited to visit with you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, so let's talk about you as a dad. Tell me a little bit about the what's family life look like for you. What's the makeup?
So it's me, my oldest son Graham, he's 14. My youngest son Lyndon, he is 11. Both of them just turned 11 and 14. Um, Me and their mother are not together. We have 50-50 custody. Um, our our visitation schedule is just whatever works best for us. It's pretty laid back, so I'm thankful for that. Our co-parenting relationship's pretty good. She's a third shift nurse, so sometimes I have them more than her. Sometimes she has them more than me. It's just kind of whatever works out for us. So I also have a girlfriend who has four daughters. So we used to all live together, and that was pretty chaotic, if you can imagine. Six kids, four of them being girls, all of them, ranging from at that time 8 to like 15. Most of them are teenagers, or three of them were teenagers at the time. So um, a lot of craziness going on. But we since are still together, but don't live together. So uh, it's a lot. It's a lot more manageable. So yeah,
Yeah. Now that's two completely different sides of co-parenting, right? On
yeah,
one hand, you and your ex have a really good relationship, which that is probably not the norm, and
we. I mean, we have our moments, believe me, but for the most part, yeah. And
yeah,
that's
but
taken that's
still.
taken that's taken time though. A lot
Yeah.
of maturing had to happen for that to be where we're at today.
Yeah, so what did that maturing look like? Because I think a lot of times when people are in the beginnings of a separation, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of animosity, there's a lot of disappointment, and that can be evident in so many different ways, right? So how did you guys kind of work through those initial stages to where you are now, where you have such a great relationship?
Well, the short answer is time. I think you just get tired of beating each other up and spinning your wheels. I wish I would have had somebody like me right now in this state, knowing what I know now, to have helped me back then. Um, you get some advice here and there, but nothing really too solid that you can really implement right away. I think what I learned is, um, like how you had mentioned, it's a lot of animosity in the beginning. You really play this game of like who can screw over who the most,
Hmm.
or and you both come into whenever you guys talk, you're always uh, just mean and hateful and spiteful, and who can top who, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, at the end of that argument, nothing changes. It all just stays the same. The only thing you are left with is less energy, right? So, eventually you got to make a choice that you want to show up differently. You know what I mean? If you really want to have a say or you really want to get something done, we have to, um, first of all, lead with gratitude, right? We can't just be negative all the time. We have to change how we show up, be ready to receive, be open to change. Um, yeah, and really just know that we're there for the child. We all know that, but still, in the beginning, it's hard to even consider that. You know what I mean? It's whatever you did to them or they did to you, and the child sometimes gets forgotten about in that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because I've had several conversations with dads, and they talk about, we just gotta put the kids first. But in the very next statement, his
But there's a
actions,
but there.
there's a but, and it's like,
Yeah.
wait a sec, I thought you said it was about the kids, and you're making it about you because
Hmm.
you're you're not pleased with the arrangement, or your perception of the time with the kids is different than what the kids are feeling or she's feeling. And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, that just went out the window. What happened?
Well, there's so much ego stuff going on both with both parties in the beginning. Me
Yeah.
as a father, it was hard for me to imagine my kids being around another guy, right, or being
Mm,
threatened by that, right, and that takes someone very secure to not let that bother you. And I guess when you're in that breakup stage, you're nothing but insecure. I would say, you know what I mean.
mm,
So it's all those flare ups stem from that. Um, eventually as we went on, you realize that they are my boys and they love me very much and they need me. They don't need any. They're not worried about anybody else. So you kind of have these. It can go either way, right? I guess it depends on the motives of the other party, but there were some threats there early on. Um, but I don't even think that's what she wanted. That was what her new partner was kind of jockeying for her, which was odd. I think it's just again ego thing with that other
mm.
person. But um, once we got all through that, it just all that stuff kind of quells and it doesn't even matter. And like I said, I wish I had known what I know now, like I'm sure everybody does in that time. Just so you're not sitting around just hurt so much and
Mm,
wasted so much energy for things that ultimately did not matter at the end of the day.
yeah, I like that. Um, it, and now you're in a new relationship, and blending. I think sometimes we forget that not only are we building a relationship with a new girlfriend, new boyfriend, whatever that looks like, right? And we we think that it's going to be easy for the kids to create a new relationship, right? They're still wrestling with the loss of what was, and now you're putting them in this new situation that's not really their choice, and they're going along for the ride, and they're trying to figure out their place. So how did you help your boys and the new girls feel like they had a place in your heart when everything was changing?
Um, uh, I'd probably been single or I was dating. This, I mean, this is we're talking years apart where I was before I'm with the woman I am now that has these kids. So it wasn't
Yeah.
anything like right away. Um, and there was a few women in between, but not a whole lot. And uh, of any, you know, that lasted long. I mean, but it wasn't too hard in our case. The kids all got along. They just were cool with it. There wasn't like a moment where we had to sit anybody down and tell them like this is what's happening now. It was just a pretty natural, smooth thing. I think in the case of my girlfriend, I think it was really good. They were kind of in a tumultuous um, environment for a while. I think for them to see that their mother happy and have something that was stable was
Yeah.
great for them to see. Um, I won't say that me and her kids had like the greatest relationship, but that's just from some of the traumas that they had been through. But we were all cool. It's not like, not to where they're like, they consider me their dad, I'd say,
Yeah.
or confide in me in that way.
Yeah.
But I know they all care about me. I know that they are thankful for me. So, my boys' situation is a little bit different, right? There, where they always had stability, and um, where they didn't really, I don't know, it's just like, that's dad's girlfriend. It's not. I don't think it was anything like, I don't know, earth shattering or a major event in their life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Trying to struggle for the words, but it was just it was easy. It wasn't really
Well, Well, and I think it was easier for them because they felt secure in
with
the
me, probably.
relationship
Yeah,
they had with you, right? It wasn't
trust me.
like this volatility, right? As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about my really good friend who married a beautiful young lady, and they have just a great relationship. And he got married way later in his life, and her kids were older, right? And they had so much trauma with their dad because he basically just abandoned them, and before he abandoned them was extremely verbally abusive,
Hmm.
domineering, and they saw the mistreatment of their mom. And now my friends come into the picture, and they're just so grateful at the difference in how my friend treats his wife. He's so deferential and respectful and kind. I mean, he literally gives her flowers every week. And they're like, I was talking to the son. He's like, yeah, he goes, I didn't realize that love could be so beautiful. And I love what I see in my mom and in my new dad, right? And I don't know if he really sees him as I know he sees him as a dad figure. They have a really good relationship. And it sounds like in your case, your boys had so much confidence that you getting a new girlfriend didn't make them feel like they were gonna be kicked to the side.
Yeah, yeah. I never had to like explain anything to them or
Yeah.
offer them up I guess, an explanation. But yeah, my girlfriend's kid situation, and well, her situation is very similar. They were not necessarily were they abandoned, but they all chose to leave. Right? It was very verbal abusive, very mentally, emotionally abusive type stuff. So yeah, and I'm not sure. We've never really had that moment where they've affirmed that, to me, that like, but I can sense that it's like that. You know what I mean? It's never
Yeah.
been like verbalized, I guess, that, you know, and not that that's like needed, right? They're all teenagers living their own life. They all have their own set of problems. They're worried about their stuff, nothing to not ours, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Yeah, and I think sometimes we as dads, we have this expectation of our kids or our step kids, if you will. We expect them to act a certain way instead of allowing them to move through their trauma, to move through the ability to feel safe, and they may not necessarily know how to articulate that. They just feel it, and you can feel it, you can see it in the way
yeah,
they move in their
sure,
life. And I think if we as men would have more confidence in just being a positive force and being good with that. I don't need to be told thank you, I don't need to be told you're my hero, or I view right. I just need to recognize that the things that I'm doing in my girlfriend's life or my new wife's life, that the kids are seeing a change
yeah.
for
No, yeah,
good in
I'm
their
definitely showing
family.
them what, you know, how to correctly love somebody, right? Where
Yeah.
um, and I've been thankful for that opportunity too, because they were in an environment to where that the love that their mother was receiving was not correct, so. Um, that is something that I am aware of. You know what I mean? Um, and I don't know if I necessarily act differently from it, but I guess I probably do a little bit. Like I don't go out of my way to do it, but um, it is something that I think is pretty cool. That I just in my girlfriend's relationship with me when we first got together, she had a hard time just being comfortable, right? Because
Yeah.
she had suffered so much abuse. Um, and I really was, I guess, honored at the opportunity after realizing what I had done, and it felt pretty good that I was there to show somebody the proper way to be loved, and like where they could relax and put their guard down and just be normal,
Yeah.
So it was
That's good.
rewarding. Not that I was necessarily out there trying to do that, you know what I mean? But it's just
Yeah.
it was a cool thing, you know, and,
That's
and we
awesome.
and just like any other relationship, comes with its problems, but we're pretty thankful for each other. So
That's awesome. So let's talk about you as a kid, man. How was life in your home with your dad?
so I never had a dad. I grew up with this. I was a product of a one night stand, and um, my mother was pretty strong and independent, I'd say. Reached out to him when I was born to let him know of me, and that he just didn't. He already had a family, and to give you a little bit of context, my father's side is from Brooklyn, um, from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, old mafia type family. They are from Italy, from Naples, Italy. They have that certain culture and value of tight knit. You know what I mean? So nobody in his family even knew I existed except for his father, who eventually died with that secret, just because they keep everything so close to the vest, right? Um, it was only until he was dying that I have a half brother and half sister thought that I existed based on some things he had may have said here and there. So then he fessed up eventually, and then they found me. So, but I had already been looking for him. I had called him one time and left him a voicemail, but he had dismissed the message because he didn't really understand it or something of that nature. Um, but at that time, they were living in New Orleans, so they were displaced from where they originally came from and living in Slidell, Louisiana, which is just on the other side of New Orleans, across Lake Pontchartrain. And so yeah, I grew up. My father figures were my grandfathers, but that's not quite the same. It's like you're their little buddy. That you don't really quite get that. My grandfathers weren't, like, I would say, authoritarian in any way. I mean, sort of, but not to where I'm being raised with structure. So that was tough. You don't know how bad you got it, right, until I'm an adult, and then I look back, and I had everything I needed. I was not neglected in any way, but man, there's something, as I got older and seeing how better, well adjusted some of the other people were. I'll say this: I could have been a lot worse. If I think there's some things that are innate in me that kind of helped with all that. Just a certain amount of drive and self confidence and things like that. I was blessed to be a great athlete, so that really gave me a sense of a purpose and identity, and sense of, I guess, community, if you will, right? So that helped. But when you grow up without a father, it man, I was wild. I was a wild child, and I didn't really respect authority. It was tough coming up through the school system, and you're starved. I think you don't even know it, but you're starving for that structure. But then when they give it to you, you're so rebellious. In my case, it. I just didn't really respect authority, so it was not. You know how it is. If you and I am a natural leader. That's something that is another innate ability of mine. And you come up through school, they don't really appreciate that. So um, another thing I think what handicapped me is it was easier for my mother to just give me what I wanted instead of making me earn it.
Mm.
Um, she eventually, as I got into my teens, did a lot better professionally, and more money came with that. And not that we were rich by any means, we were middle class, but um, it's just it was just easier, like I said, to give me what I wanted. So I kind of grew up, and with my athletic ability, I was always better than everybody at everything. So I kind of became entitled. Not kind of, I became entitled. So once I get done playing college football and I get into the professional world, you know, it's like a disease. You know what I mean? Why can't I just, first of all, I think I'm smarter than all my bosses, right? And everybody I feel like they put in management should not be there. They're so stupid. I don't get it. But then, so I'm like, why can't I just automatically have this job? Or, why can't I automatically be in charge of all these people or these great things? Instead, I'm starting at the bottom, and that doesn't feel good, right? Because I never really had to earn anything. Plus, you, you, you add that with I'll say elite athleticism. Okay, do not sound conceited, right? To where you're automatically better than everybody. Where I didn't really have to necessarily. I mean, I worked hard in sports, but you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't have to like come through the ranks and really earn that spot. So you almost, when you get into the real world and have to do that, you don't see any value in that. And like, you don't have any patience for that. You just wonder why can't I already just have this,
yeah.
And that took a while for me to come to grips with and really recognize. Um, One of the things I've also been blessed with is being able to self reflect and kind of have that inner discussion with myself to kind of figure out what's going on. And it took a while. It took a long time, probably to my late 20s before I even got that taken care of. You know what I mean? So I often look back and wonder, well, not anymore, but I had, like, if I had a dad, would that have been different?
Mm.
And when I compare it to my peers that had my friends growing up, they had two dads, just how much it seemed like they went through way less stuff. And even with the law, right? I was never like a criminal or anything, but I didn't care to speed or drink underage, or I had no respect for the law. You know what I mean? Didn't even care. And cost my mom a lot of money in speeding tickets or parking tickets or whatever, right? So I have this problem with authority, or I just don't respect it, don't see any value in it. And I know that people that have two parents do that as well, but I often wonder, had I had somebody there to, rein me in for real, you know, how different it might have turned out. So
Yeah, that's an interesting point of reflection, right? Because I think we all do that. It's like, what if, right? What
yeah,
if this? What if that? And it's easy to get caught there. But I like the question because I think a lot of times we are searching for that structure. We're searching for those boundaries and authority. In particular, authority figures represent boundaries. And it's almost like you are pushing against the boundaries that you never had to see how far you could really push them.
yeah.
And I
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was gonna
No.
say, I came across this thing. This guy presenting one time talking about, he used the funnel for an imagery, right? He used having these kids without any structure is like the funnel upside down, where you're giving them all this room to do whatever, and then as they get older, right, you have to like get more narrow and narrow and give them more structure and restrictions, right? But if you raise them the other way, from like the smaller part of the funnel, right, where they don't have a lot of room to do whatever they want, right? So then as they get older and become more responsible, you can ease up and give them more responsibilities. And I'm like, that's the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of felt like I'm the living proof of that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and
So
luckily I didn't have anything major or catastrophic happen, but he could have.
so how are you bringing those types of lessons, one, to your kids, to your boys, and two, to your work with Involved Dad?
Yeah. So everything I just said, even though I wonder if it would have turned out different, I'm so thankful to have this perspective to make sure that others do not suffer as I did, if you want to call it suffering, right? If you To make sure others don't have the same experience or outcome. I'm feel thankful to be equipped with that, to have that lived experience, um, to make sure that my kids don't end up that way. All right, and make sure that, especially, oh man, everything I do here involved dad is because of my experience growing up. I realize I recognize the value of a father, of having one around because I did not have one. Right, I recognize the value of good co-parenting skills because I had lived through that. Right, and everything in between. And once I met Sean, um, it was like a magnet. Once I met him and I found out what he did, it was like the universe put him near me, and I could not get away from him. I nagged him for a long time to be a part of this organization, so it was something that I felt was so necessary, right? And you know, luckily, society is kind of changing their narrative, or how they view fathers, but for the longest time, it was not this way. And I just feel so blessed and amazing to be a part of this movement, um, and to help a lot of guys who had it way worse than me, with my own life experience. So with my kids, what I thought was really impactful, what makes it easy being a father now is, I try to be what they needed when I was them. And since I had all those, we'll call them, I don't even want to call them adverse experiences, but since I had all those moments, it's easy. It's easy to see them, right? So whenever any problem arises, or whenever there's a confidence issue or a certain way that they feel about themselves or treat others, it's easy for me to recognize me in that,
Mm,
and now I can be for them what I needed when I was them.
mm,
And I mean, I even see that in adults now. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I would have that ability, if I hadn't lived through that stuff. So yeah, um, and that's part of the reason why I came here too, is because I really needed to lean into that. I've always been a father figure for whatever reason. I don't know if that's one of the innate abilities that I've had, or it's because I never had one. But even as a middle school on up, I always had this quality about me, I guess you want to call it that, where people gravitate towards me, where I take care of them, where I lead, fall on the sword for them, whatever that is. I've always been able to do for others what they haven't been able to do for themselves, or give them confidence to do it. Um, so yeah, I'm not really sure if that's because I didn't have that, and I've always wanted to give people what I needed when I was them. Maybe now that I'm thinking about that right now, maybe it's always been that way, but I eventually became so unhappy in my career that I was at, that I needed to be a part of something like this where I could really lean into those skills, you know. So
yeah, I really appreciate that, and dude, I love Sean Hart. I mean, for those of you guys that don't know Sean's story, I invite you to go out to involveddad.org. Check it out. Sean has a passion for blessing families through his work and Chase's work and his entire team's work, with fathers, right? Because if you can affect the father for good and make him a central piece, working in tandem, in partnership with either his wife or with his co-partner or whatever, right? And really try to figure out how to make a dad central to the family. It has a huge impact. um, and I see it on both sides, whether you didn't have a dad or you were blessed with a great dad. That dad has a pivotal role, and trying to figure it out when you didn't have that role model can be a challenge, right? But I like the way you said that. I try to be for my kids what I know I needed when I was a kid,
Yeah,
because I think a lot of men get tripped up with, well, I'm not sure if I can be a good dad because I didn't have a good role model. But if you really think about it, it's like I had a good conversation with Sean Brassfield, another good friend of mine. And he's like, he goes, I didn't have the best father figure. He goes, but I just tried to be the exact opposite of what I saw because I know that's what I needed, what I wanted, what I
yeah,
was yearning for. And it sounds like you figured out how to do that with your boys.
for sure. Yeah, and we're so close. Me and my boys are. Our relationship is special. So um, we just have a lot of fun. There's a lot of respect there. There's not. I mean, yeah, there's discipline that has to happen, but it just doesn't have. It's not like you know tumultuous all the time. We just have a good time because there's so much love and respect, and and I'm able to teach them so much, right, and be there for them. And I don't know. It's just they see it, and I do make them aware. I will say um, of how fortunate they are, and I don't say that to be you know boastful or that they owe me anything. I just need them to be aware that of how important this is, right? Because it's all about modeling. We in this
Yeah,
industry we always talk about that. Yeah, I want them to acknowledge, recognize what it is to be a good father, what it is to be a good friend, a good person, right? So whenever there's an opportunity for those teachable moments, I give that to them, and they'll tell you that I do too, and my friends will too. They've all seen it. Whenever there's an opportunity to do something really good for somebody, I will bring that up in a constructive way so that they can get something out of it. So I do take moments. I do take those moments, those special moments in life, or something that I feel like could be impactful, and I make sure that it's acknowledged and recognized, so they know how to act. So yeah.
that's awesome. I love that. Well, man, there's been so many great nuggets in this conversation. Kind of in wrap up, are there one or two things that you think are critical that we as dads should be doing in our homes?
Um, Man, the two things I just talked about, like giving them what they needed, like when you recognize it when you were them, right? And those moments, I guess, are important to me. Maybe that's why I do it. Um, I don't want to think, I don't want to give the impression that any of this is forced. It's never like I go out of my way to do this. It's um, man, just being there and being present is. I mean, that's low hanging fruit. We all know that, but that's really it because it's in those moments that these opportunities present themselves, right? If you're
Yeah,
not around, there's you'll never have those great moments or these great teachable moments or whatever it is.
yeah,
So yeah, I think I think one other thing that I'm really big on is I don't ever let anybody, or especially a kid, I never tell them they can't do something.
mm,
Like achieve something or a goal, right? I never try to bat that down. That happened to me a lot when I was a kid, and I'm an idea man. Like I need wind underneath my wings. Like you could gas me up, right? But if you tell me no, it might be it for me. Sometimes, you know what I mean. I'm a pretty
yeah,
driven person otherwise, but I just think how sad is that you could stop somebody that could achieve greatness and keep having that momentum just because you're like, ah, that's stupid, don't do that. And my
Yeah.
mother did that a lot to me growing up, and she didn't do it to be that way. She just, when you're so caught up in your own life and being a single mom like she was, like caught up in your own survival mode, if you will, right? You don't really consider that. You don't really consider others. You're just, um, I don't know, just caught up in your own things. You don't even realize that you're doing it, and that's something that I'm sure her mom did to her or her dad did to her, right? They think
Yeah.
they're doing it to protect you, or like it's a silly idea or a waste of time, but I'm telling you, you're not. So I do tell my kids that, and I do encourage others, like, because especially I coach football, I coach sports, I'm around the youth all the time. Like, that could be the only time that someone's ever told them that they could achieve anything,
Yeah.
right? So if anybody ever comes to me, even if it's an adult, and tells me about an idea, unless it's really dumb, right? But you know, I might offer some guidance in that, but you know, there could be people have told them how stupid they are and this idea sucks, don't do it their entire life. And you might be that one person that, told them that they can achieve anything. And I know that might sound kind of cheesy, but I do that all the time and I mean it. And that is one thing that I would definitely emphasize to any fathers, to make sure that you're not stifling any kid's creativity, right? Because kids look at the world in a different lens. They see possibilities, right? We don't. We're like so cynical, and we see so many reasons to not. We see all the um, liabilities, right? Where these kids are a possibilitarians, if you will.
Yeah.
So, man, why do you just want to stifle that? Like, anything that anybody has achieved that's great was probably looked at as somebody crazy, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not about that, right? Let's just keep motivating everybody and keeping them, the best versions of themselves.
I love that. No, the dude, I love that. I have a saying with my kids, and it's why not you? Right?
Yeah,
Dream so big, why not you? Other people have been movie stars and singers and politicians and astronauts and what dude, why not you? Go do it. Go dream
yeah,
so big and show me what you can do, right? So and it's fun to watch your kids go after their dreams. When you can empower them to feel like
yeah,
that dream's within their reach if they work for it and go
yeah,
after it. Dude, it's inspiring to watch them go after it, and dude, it's amazing to see the doors that open up for them because they believe. In fact, my oldest son told my son, so my oldest son Devin, you can check him out on Spotify, Devin Michael Cedric. He's an artist, right? He's a singer, a musician, an actor, a model, right? And he told my younger son, he said, I took bigger risk than I probably would have because I knew that mom and dad had my back.
yeah.
I knew
You,
I,
you
I,
know,
I knew I had a safe place to land if I tripped.
yeah.
He goes, I could regroup and fly again.
Think about that, right? Like, how beautiful that is that I he went out and achieved because he had your support. How many people are out there, and this has been my story, where I didn't go out and achieve because the risk was too great, all right, or I don't feel confident, or nobody had confidence in me that I could do it, right?
Yeah.
But I could have, just to know this. Just, I mean, you're talking about support, like a place to stay if they don't make it, but it could just be knowing that somebody just thinks that you can
Yeah,
is enough,
exactly.
is
It,
enough,
yeah.
so
And I think that's the biggest part of it, right? Is he knows that dad believes in him. It's like
yeah,
go
yeah,
figure it out, go make it, go become, right?
give them
And
permission,
have
go give them
have
permission to be
joy.
great.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Go give them permission to be great. Give them permission to tap in into their natural gifts that God has given them. Don't squash them. Allow them to explore and explode them.
Exactly.
So Anyway, well, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's late where you are. So, guys, please go out and visit involvedad.org. Get connected. They're primarily working in the Michigan area, but we're trying to expand that
Oh, we're
nationwide. There's,
nationwide. We're about to
yeah,
launch King's Table, which is peer to peer support.
yep, that's awesome.
What you know about, yeah, where anybody
Yep,
can just come and talk about anything. Typically, we'll have a topic we want to discuss, but there's going to be room in there to tackle whatever is on anybody's
yep,
mind. So I'm looking forward to that because that's over Zoom. The capabilities over Zoom. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that has, where we can take that, because we're really going to put forth an effort to get it out there anywhere.
yep.
So, yeah,
And whatever you need from me to help with that, I'm there because, guys, I'm telling you, Involved Dad is doing a great work, and their Sean's vision and the team that he's gathered is really exciting. So please go out and connect with them. Trace Fisher is on Facebook as well, and you can see all the fun work that he's doing.
yeah.
And also, guys, we're coming into Thanksgiving and Christmas, so take some fun times. In fact, I know that
Point
you
me to
guys
the
are doing.
deviled eggs.
I'm all about the pecan pie. So,
Okay,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, I love pecan pie. But lately, man, I've been really flavoring pumpkin pie, which is weird, but yeah, it's all good. So,
That's not weird.
looking
Pumpkin
forward
pie is
to it.
delicious.
Yeah, it's great. So, well, it's weird for me because it was never like a huge drive. Here's a weird thing: like before, after COVID, I don't crave sweets. I am a salt and salsa guy, right? I like salty and salsa and hot and spicy. Ever since COVID, I literally, if I walk into Costco and I smell pumpkin pie, I have to buy it. And I literally buy one and I will eat almost the entire pie myself. It's so weird. So, anyway, thank you so much, guys. If you're looking for a Christmas gift for somebody that you love, um, Sean Hart has several books out there. Broken Men Become Broken Boys. Also, go out to Amazon and pick up my book. But how far must I go? A Journey in Faith. I will put links in the descriptions. And thank you so much, Trace. I'll let you get to your family and finish your day. And just appreciate the work you're doing, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and thanks for having me. I
Yeah.
really do appreciate it. I had fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we will check you same time just next week. See ya.